up, light it up, top. Top, light. Top, light it up, top.
Top Hits USA from RPM. Our name says it all. Get the latest hits while they're the hottest. With Top Hits USA, you'll have the track for sure. Visit tophitsusa.com or call 800-521-2537 and get a free demo.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
We are back for show number 2 on a Tuesday night. Typically, we don't do 2 shows on a Tuesday night unless Brian has got a lot to say, and then we'll do 2 shows on a Tuesday night. But tonight, he has not only lots to say, but he has a guest. Brian, David, guest. Good evening, guys.
This is Dancing David Ellsworth. He doesn't like it when I call him that. David Ellsworth, he's a DJ pal of mine here in the greater Milwaukee area, and we're having him as a guest tonight.
And I can't help dancing to music. It's just really, it's what I do.
He can't.
It just comes naturally to you, and it just is you, man.
It does. And Ben, if you're watching, I was making funny comments, and no one saw them because for some reason my login on chat still isn't any good. I've been blocked, and John isn't fessing up to the fact that he's blocked me in chat. You get way too much attention on your own broadcast. You don't need to chime in on other people's shows and try to hog all the attention. So
that's something we're trying to figure out how to resurrect Brian S. Red on YouTube.
You can do it, John.
I went in and I cleared. Now there were 5 people that I had blocked, and Brian wasn't one of them. And now I bet 3 of them are going to be like on tonight's show being that troll.
Right. That's
his story. That's right. It's what he's doing.
So let me tell you a little bit about David before we go any further. We met, 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a guy on Facebook, and he chimed in once in a while, and I realized he was in the area. And for whatever reason, we connected. And this guy has been so helpful to me with my gigs when I need somebody to come along and haul stuff. He's there. He's always early. He's got tons of energy. and he's really been a wonderful friend. So David's a friend. Aside from that, he's also a really cool DJ, and we've got some fun things that we can talk about as far as David as a DJ and David as a guy outside of the DJ world too. One thing I will bring up is one thing that David has been doing or has done in the last, I don't know, probably how many years? You've been writing songs for children's songs.
Correct.
And this is for like schools, music class kind of thing?
Yeah, music teachers it's like an international company. My sister-in-law owns the company, and they've been doing real well. Plank Road Publishing, and we've been writing for them in the K2 area for about the last, it feels like 20 years, but it's probably only about 17 or 18 or something like that. But
so you're a musician.
I am.
He's a musician, and he doesn't talk about that.
No, I don't talk about that.
David doesn't tell me much about this kind of stuff. DJing with me, but he's a musician, like a real musician, a published musician and they commission songs.
Yeah.
So like he was telling me one time, somebody said, "Hey, we wanted a song for Groundhog Day."
Right.
So he's like, "Okay," so he wrote a song about Groundhog Day.
And usually they don't tell us much. We sort of have to come up with it on our own. And so, I mean, some of my inspiration comes from people like they might be Giants, because they're real quirky and kind of edgy and stuff, and they also do stuff for kids. And so I kind of channel that electronic vibe, and yeah, we pick different topics. And I'm on SoundCloud. You can find me if you want to listen to that stuff.
Interesting guy, modest guy, and he is a perfectionist. I'll tell you that about him right now before we go any further in the broadcast. There are things that David needs done David's way, which is great when you need something done right. If you're just trying to throw something together, it's like, David, be quiet, stop talking, leave me alone. But if you really need to get involved with the project and make it right, this is the guy to check it out. He's so good. Computer whiz, just all around good guy. And your wife, Ann,
yeah,
is an opera singer.
Well, she's a teacher now.
She's a teacher now, but
she's probably listening. So, Ann, you are amazing, opera singer, and thank you for what you do. No, we write together as a team as well for the music that Brian was talking about. We write together as a team. It's not just me. I have some ideas and stuff, and like Brian says, I'm a little over caffeinated when I work on that, but I love it. And Ann actually helps me with lyrics and ideas, and she's like, what are you writing a song about shoes for? And I don't know, it's just what we're doing. And she says, well, it should be about something else, and she usually wins, and it gets published that way. So anyway, way too much information, right?
I think the coffee thing was kind of my fault. I think I kind of got him on that recently, and it was kind of like any other drug you introduce to a friend and say, hey, just try it, it's good. And
he didn't introduce me to coffee. He's just that's okay. It's fine. It's good.
It's bad.
Interesting guy though. It's a lot of fun to hang around with. He's got a lot of energy. If you've ever watched my gig logs where he's been there, the guy is dancing the whole time, and great input. So thank you for that, Dave.
Thank you for that introduction, man. Good.
Well, I want people to know who they're talking to. It's not just some guy found, hey, you want to come down to my basement and go on camera?
Is that where we are?
Yeah.
I thought you kidnapped me and brought me someplace.
Yeah, he put the hood on you.
Studio or something.
Yeah, it's
if you can see off camera the kind of stuff that's happening down here, it wouldn't be nearly as impressive. But we try to make it look really good for the image that you're seeing.
In that one spot.
So anyway, we want to talk about music discovery. This is something that David's big on, and he's got a couple of years on me, we'll just say that. Yet, he's usually the guy who's introducing me to new EDM music and house music and rock and roll and all kinds of stuff. David loves music. I think this is actually unusual for a DJ these days.
Agreed.
That they just love music. It becomes a chore for us sometimes. I know it does for me. I feel obligated to do certain things or play certain things as a DJ. And I get so involved with that, I don't take the time to find something that I enjoy to listen to. But David's that guy. He always has something new and fresh to play.
I mean, DJs seem to, and you know this, John. I mean, that on the channel, I mean, general DJs are real easy to jump in and talk about equipment and things like that. But then when you kind of press them to, I mean, how much time do you actually, dedicate to listening to music, maybe finding new music, and incorporating that? It's like, well, I pretty much know what I'm going to do, and I've been doing it, and and it's not really. So what I decided to do is make it into a project and give it a name and try and do interviews with people. And I've just been doing it locally here to try and find out what my list of questions is going to be. And
you went to Whole Foods.
I did.
And you were like talking to the people in the meat counter.
I did.
Saying, hey, I got a question for you. Where do you find your new music?
Yeah, where do you find your new music? And I mean, it's like the question takes people by surprise because they're not really doing that anyway. But the answer I got was pretty much, we're listening to the radio and a local station here, 88.9, I think it is.
Yeah.
So they're trying to do eclectic stuff that isn't getting mainstream play or anything like that. And nothing that it would be in the category like you'd use that would be familiar for like a wedding or something like that. It's just really eclectic stuff. And then the other place is Spotify, and I followed up with that. Oh, Spotify. Well, you then have, that in Spotify, the more you use it, they start sending you a discover list, which is sort of tailored to you of new stuff that's in the, kind of the same genres that you're listening to music. And you know that. And she goes, no, I've never even heard of that before. I'm not even aware of that. So Spotify for a lot of people really is just I'm just going to find the songs I like and put them over there in a list, just like they do on their phone. And that's as far as it gets.
Right. They don't use the app to its full potential.
Right.
Now, I know that I've been at ADJ headquarters before, and Jose Heredia is big on that. He likes to use that. He finds something. He says, what do you like? And you tell him a couple artists, and he puts it on and does a pretty good job for a while. Then it starts taking some liberties I don't like. Then it starts playing some things that it's like, well, why the hell would Spotify think I'd like this? No, it's going down the wrong path. It's trying to take me in the wrong direction. I'm not going to react well to this. Change it. It does that sometimes, and it's a computer. It's a computer just kind of trying to make assumptions about your listening tastes. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses, but it's available.
See, I'm DJ Floaty Head 2 already.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. See, I told you, if I wore black, I'd be DJ Floaty Head 2.
Well, let's do something to change.
No.
This is bib on you.
I'm fine.
With a bib.
You were so not Floaty Head. Scott was Floaty Head.
Yeah, he definitely.
So, David, where are you finding your new music? Because you have eclectic taste. You like all kinds of stuff. You really like, if you go back, you like bands like Foghat. If you go forward, you like Chunky. Like you like all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Where are you finding your music for your listening pleasure?
Well, it's not just aware. First of all, you got to start with you got to make time to do it.
Right.
And a lot of people are really busy these days, and I totally get that. But if you craft together some little chunks of time where you can actually get something done in terms of finding new music, then you use the tools to your benefit. If you're walking through the store and you're actually, what you're going to get, you're sort of on, if you're like me, you're kind of on autopilot. You're going to that particular aisle and I'm going to grab that thing.
That's how men shop.
That's how men shop. And you're on autopilot and you hear a particular song overhead that's really cool. You pull out your phone and you've got Shazam and you find out what it is and you just record that. And then you later go back to that and say, well, why did I think that dumb song was good? And or that's the coolest song and I was right at the point and I need to incorporate that in what I'm doing. And then I go find out that there's a remix that's even better than that and so on and so forth. It's the effort you put in that comes back and really helps. And it's always a massive improvement process if you're focusing on it, if you put it in with your life. There's other things you can do. Some people never change the presets on their radio in their car.
Right.
change those presets so they're doing something for you. In different genres. Maybe, I mean, they don't really play symphonic or concert music locally anymore. Most of the NPR stations stopped doing that years ago. But you can bring an iPod that just plays tracks that you want, that are new, that you've grabbed from someplace, and listen to them on, automatically when you get in the car instead of listening to the radio.
In the old days, Sean, you were a promo only guy, right? Back in the old days?
Yeah, I still get there.
Right. But remember the disc that would come in, the actual CD that you get?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would always pop the mainstream radio in
the
CD player of my truck. And I just listened to it that month. That's what I listened to. Just to listen to the tracks. Not everything hit, but I learned a lot about music. And I learned a lot about a lot of songs that maybe I wouldn't have normally paid much attention to.
Oh, for sure. I used to, driving back and forth to the house gig. It was an hour drive.
Right.
So you put a disc in, you'd listen to it, and I'd do that every night. And by the end of the week, I'd have a little note sheet that I'd slide in a sleeve. That, I think this track 7 is going to be a hit track. And then I'd come back a year later, and it's like, what in the world was I thinking? Track 7 sucked. But it was great. And there were a couple of times where we found a song on a disc, and we just loved it. We played it in a bar. It never had radio play, but in a bar, it was a popular song for the regulars because it was a good tune. Just never caught.
Speaking of music discovery, I'll just chime in here and break this up a little bit. I saw a great documentary last night on Stars. It's a premium movie service that I have. And it was called Searching for Rodriguez. Have you heard of this?
No, not that.
This is really cool. And I don't know if have you seen this or heard about it?
I don't think so.
This is really neat. There's this guy.
Rodriguez, the guy that was popular in like South Africa or something.
Yeah, it's Sixco Rodriguez, I believe was his name.
Mm-hmm.
And he was this like super prolific songwriter. They were people in the music business. I mean, big people who were producing Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder, and we're talking about him like, this is one of the top 5 artists I've ever worked with. He was just amazing. And, Bob Dylan was preschool compared to this guy. This guy was just fantastic. And for whatever reason, he released 2 albums, 71 and 72, I believe. They did nothing. Like nobody bought them. Like 6 people bought this album. And for some weird reason, this album in the early 70s made its way to South Africa. And this was during apartheid and stuff. And it was folky stuff. And he's singing about, revolution and anti-establishment things and all that. And this got passed around very organically. Just, they were recording it and passing these recordings around to friends. And before you knew it, every kid in South Africa had a copy of Rodriguez. And the only reference they had to this guy was the picture on the album cover. And then South African record labels started bootlegging it and selling it. And to make a long story short, the most popular artist ever in South Africa, and we're talking for 30 years, this guy was the most popular artist in South Africa.
And then the rest of the story, he comes back to the United States.
Well,
or he's in the United States.
Well, no, the way it works is,
okay.
Rodriguez had no idea that he was popular anywhere in the world.
Right.
He was doing demolition, like house demolition in Detroit, living in the same house in Detroit that he'd lived in for 40 years. I had no idea that he was famous anywhere.
Yep, 60 Minutes did a thing on him.
Right, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then they had this story going around in South Africa where he had shot himself while performing, and it was the most horrific suicide in rock and roll history. There was another story that he doused himself in gasoline and caught himself on fire in front of an audience, all this stuff. So they thought he was dead.
Yeah.
So when the internet kind of came about, they had a website. They had a picture of him on a milk carton and said, have you seen this man? Come to find out through a few different channels, they're freaking out because somebody says, what do you mean? When did he die? He's still alive. He's still around. He just talked to the guy. So then he started doing concerts over there. And anyway, music discovery.
Sugar Man, yeah, that's the
Sugar. Yeah. Searching for Sugar Man. That's what it was. That's what it's called. Searching for Sugar Man. Cool stuff though. But that's music discovery. That's organic music discovery. That's just hearing something and saying, hey, I kind of like that. And in this case, it was bootleg, and I'm not condoning that. But how cool is that? That a whole country discovered this
Yeah.
very organically.
That was an incredible story.
They could relate to it. And nobody else knew what the hell it was. That was pretty cool. So I'd mention that. A little homework for you guys. Yeah, Searching for Sugar Man is the name of this documentary. Check it out. I don't know if it's on Netflix. It might be, but it's very interesting. It's very good. And I knew nothing about it when I started watching it.
So he's talking about listening to Canadian radio stations.
Oh man, it's fun to do that. International stuff. You catch a lot of stuff that you wouldn't normally hear. I used to do it with BBC Radio 1.
Yeah.
I used to do it a lot with Children FM in Australia and Today FM in Australia as well. I loved Australian pop music there for a long time.
What Canadian ones though? I mean, I'm not familiar with any Canadian ones.
Yeah, myself, I don't either. I wasn't.
One station that I listen to is from California. Little husband and wife team, been very successful. Very eclectic mix. If you wanna tune out of kind of what you've been listening to, and listen to a really eclectic mix. I mean, it's 24 hours a day. RadioParadise.com. Coolest music you'll probably hear in the next 24 hours if you check it in. But I'd like to hear some of the any suggestions for any Canadian radio stations, because I'm always open to listening to any radio stations that are broadcasting over the internet. That's cool.
I was just telling Dave too. We were having this conversation yesterday. I heard some of the best Christmas music in TJ Maxx the other day.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Somebody knows what they're doing, huh?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't even know what the genre is called. Someone in the chat might say, "Oh yeah, it's called whatever." It's when you take these old jazz recordings and you put like a modern drum machine behind them, like a real cool beat behind them. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh gosh, yes. I think
it's like an entire genre of music like this.
Yeah.
But they were doing Christmas songs like this, and they were brilliant. They were so good. The first time I can remember hearing anything like this was probably like an Old Navy commercial, or maybe it was a commercial for the Area Hotel or the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Vegas or something like that. Kind of weird and goofy, but they did Christmas music like that. It was absolutely beautiful. It was cool. It was hip, but it wasn't so unfamiliar that I was like, well, I don't know. It was familiar enough where it was like, I know it was Christmas music, but it was cool enough where I could tell it was contemporary.
Mm-hmm.
The Electro Swing. Yeah.
There we go. Yep. I know Jason was doing a big thing on Electro Swing a few months ago. That's what it was. Yeah.
I like that stuff.
Good to find. And cross genres, all
redrum. Yeah,
redrum, yeah. Lots of genres. And there's FM 96, London, Ontario.
Oh, right on.
I'll have to check that out. What do they what's their thing? Do they FM 96, are they genre specific? Are they all over the place? Are they eclectic? Are they what do they play?
London, Ontario, that's the city where all the good people from the CDJ show are from.
Yeah.
They live in London, Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
Pops up on my phone. By the way, if you're in Canada, I'll be there again this year. Back to the CDJ show, whether you like it or not.
Coming up in March.
In Toronto, eh?
Let's see. You guys were talking about where to listen to. That was something, we used to listen to the local radio stations, and Brian, you and I have talked about this.
Yes.
And then once the internet started, then we're listening to more of these world stations. It's interesting how, so I went that way and then did the satellite radio for a while in the vehicle, and now I find myself, I'm streaming radio on my cell phone, but I end up streaming the local stations, whether it's the local talk radio or the locals, but I can get such a much better signal and a clearer sound streaming my cell phone to my car. It's like I've kind of made this loop thing all the way back again.
I'll tell you how weird I used to be about it. Before they did streaming radio on the internet, I used to go into the chat rooms that they would have, just chat rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And I would try to find people who were from London or Berlin or whatever, and see if I could talk them into sending me like a 90-minute cassette of their Saturday Night Radio.
Oh, yeah, cool.
And they would send them, and I would find so much cool stuff. It was like, oh my God. It was like, this was, of course, you couldn't get it on CD, you couldn't stream it with something, but they would send me a cassette, and I would listen to this thing over and over and over again. Wow. And for me, really, I mean, all I really had to do was drive a few miles down the road so I could pick up Chicago radio too. But it was so interesting to hear what was going on in other places.
Oh, for sure.
So much fun.
If you guys haven't had a chance to go and do some international listening like that, you really need to. I mean, there's a station in Perth that was just a really cool into the remix at that time, and it was just the influence of the music and such while I was playing in the bar. You know, that was early internet, so you would have to buffer,
right,
and then play a little bit, and then buffer. So you seldom heard the song in one take, but there was some cool thing.
You got bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's amazing. So much of this really cool stuff that's popular everywhere else, we're not getting it on our music services here. It's just not available. You have to really, I guess,
it's the modern day version of crate digging. But a lot of this, the thing is a lot of stuff that is, you're looking for back catalog. It's not on. You can't even buy it on a CD from any of the services, and I mean, it hasn't made the jump to digital. So a lot of that stuff is out there, but just hasn't come forward. So and those radio stations that you're talking about, where you can have some good experiences, they don't stick around, and they're not consistently around. A lot of them have been, through the last 5-10 years, have just disappeared because of the streaming laws and cost to stay on the air. This particular radio station, the one I mentioned, Radio Paradise, they've been through the ringer to stay online, and they really are passionate about what they're doing. And I can't speak highly enough about them, but you check them out. And there's another one too that's kind of a YouTube only thing for EDM people. Are you familiar with Proximity?
I think that's what my college student, when we were driving the other day, all of a sudden it's like, well, this is what are we listening to? Yeah, YouTube is that 18 to 20-year-old there in college. That's what they're listening to, is a YouTube music service.
Yeah, and cool. That's one guy that decided to come up with, and he got some help with the art, because it's like a unique animated art while the song is playing on YouTube. But what he did was he got a bunch of music distributors and record companies, small record companies. He reached out to them and got their permission to get stuff that's just being released. And so, I mean, their moniker, their tag is your favorite music you haven't heard yet. And it's pretty much EDM. The downside is some of that stuff never makes the leap to actually being published. Like, you can't find it on iTunes or Beatport or any place else. It just is, just stuff that was in the studio that they got exclusively to put on Proximity. And, DJs want to own stuff. I want to own stuff. I want it for myself to play it. So, I mean, that's sort of a challenge, generally speaking, but I mean, as part of the discovery thing, it's frustrating.
When we're talking about discovery too, I just wanted to chime in here. I think a lot of times, in my lifetime anyway, and we talked about this the other day too, there are things that I really enjoy because I heard them when something really cool was happening to me. And maybe I wouldn't have paid much attention to the song if I had been doing something mundane.
Yep.
That I wasn't in, maybe I was at a club and I saw a pretty girl and I heard a song when it was this girl, or a restaurant or whatever. And it's like, now I associate that cool song with this pretty girl.
How many times does this happen at a gig where playing that song, the pretty girl comes out and does a dance to it, and all of a sudden it becomes your favorite song ever?
Right. It's like, I really never thought much of Black Magic Woman by Santana, but now it's like a jam.
Yeah.
It's fun, Yeah. There are a lot of, and the other thing I wanted to kind of just bring up, and Dave and I have talked about this on YouTube publicly before, but let's go back about 4 years.
Okay.
And we were talking about gigging. I was talking about, it's cool to get your chops polished. You go out and just, gig as much as you can sometimes instead of just waiting for that. And John, you and I have talked about that too. It's nice to DJ on a consistent basis.
Yep.
A lot of people say, well, I want to charge $5,000 and I'll gig twice a year. Well, great. The other 6 months of the year, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're not doing anything.
And you better be practicing.
Pardon?
And they better be practicing, because if you're, it's
right. So I said to David, I said, look, I really used to get a lot, and I still would if I did it, but I used to get a lot out of doing these bar and club gigs. And David looked at me and said, David,
I don't think so. I want to play. I want to play. I want to do. I've been watching you do weddings, and I want to. That's what I want to do, and I don't. I'm not connecting to that.
I don't have time for that.
I don't have time for that either.
I don't have
Yeah.
the interest in that. It's nothing that I want to do.
Right.
And we got David involved with a lounge / bar / club.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I'm a convert. It's a completely changed my my whole feeling about it. I mean, the reality is you can exercise that DJ muscle by practicing and recording mixes in your home. That's available to you. And if you're not gigging, that's something you probably seriously ought to do, because I really get I like to do at least 2 new hour-long mixes a week.
he is disciplined.
And I like to write a song that I'm going to have published, or at least come up with a demo in the same week. So I've got 3 different pieces of music that I want to basically make available. So if I'm not working, that's what I have to do. But if I'm working, you've got people there.
Right, you have someone to play off of.
And I can come up with a real eclectic, really cool. What was the kind of music you were talking about?
Well, they call it
earlier?
redrum, and
I can come up with some really great mix that works really well with that by myself. But in front of people, they may not want to hear that.
Yes.
They might want to hear. They might, and I call it. They resonate. It's they resonate positively with stuff that would surprise you. I've done, Brian described me very accurately. I'm going to prepare, okay, I got this club list that I got to play for Friday night or Saturday night. I know these people are just going to go crazy with these tracks. And I start playing them and they're like, what's wrong with you? and so I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute. And I don't ask them what's wrong with them. I ask, what do you want? What do you want? What is it that you want to hear? Well, how about this? And like, okay, well, we just go off in that direction, and the dance floor's packed the rest of the night. And it, I mean, that working with people is just something, a muscle that atrophies if you don't use it.
Let me tell you what I used to get out of this a lot. When I was working those clubs, I would get a lot out of these young bartenders, these girls and guys working behind the bar asking me for new tracks.
Yep.
Stuff that just wasn't even on my radar. They're discovering new music, however they discover it. I don't know how they discover it, but they do, and then they ask me about it. And then I'm like, what the hell is this? I mean, one tune I remember them asking for where I was like, what in the hell is this? Why whatever was Foster the People Pumped Up Kicks? Mm-hmm. Like, why? What is this shit? This is like the kind of stuff that I hear on 88.9. You know, it never goes anywhere. No one's gonna like this. No one's gonna want to hear this. But I was way ahead of the curve with these kids because they turned me on to it.
Yes.
And I had that downtime where I could play that for them, and that was cool. And then you get the groups in, because the place we're talking about is actually a resort. It's an international resort. People come in from all over the world. So you're getting requests from these people where you're, instead of, I think when I'm doing a wedding reception, if someone asks me for something that I've never heard of, I go, I don't know. Oh, look. I don't get excited about it. Oh, what's that? I don't give them that look because I always assume it's crap. But when I was at this resort, DJing Evolve, if you guys remember those old videos, I'd never give him that look of, oh, let me check. I hear it on the headphones first, but usually they were turning me on to new stuff. And I was a better DJ when I was working at that club, just because I had those chops polished. I got all this input from these other people. I was discovering things.
Yeah.
And that was a wonderful way to do it.
And the reality of it is, and this is where I'm coming from with this make time to listen, is that you can do that if you make it a priority.
That's the problem.
And that's the problem.
We're too busy working.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're too busy working, how are you going to get there?
John, how much music do you listen to in your free time?
Not too terribly much. I shouldn't say that. If I'm outside and I'm going to be doing something that I have now gotten back to listening to music. For a number of years, I'd gotten away from it just because I was playing so often, and I just really got to the point where I wasn't liking to listen to music anymore.
Right.
But in the last few years, I've gotten back to that, and as we've taken like this summer the ELS 8BT.
Oh, geez.
Outside.
So cool.
And as long as I'm not mowing lawn, and even the days when I was mowing lawn with the electric lawnmower, turn it up a little bit and I could listen to music.
Yeah.
So, probably in the course of a week, I will listen to, and I do internet radio. Music is where I'm coming from, internet stuff. I'll probably get in about 2 to 3 hours a week where I'm actually paying attention enough to actually be able to say, oh yeah, that's that song, compared to just background noise.
I don't know if it's a post-stroke thing with me, but music listening to me is an activity I do while I'm driving. I don't do it when I'm down here in the office all day answering questions because sometimes it's a video thing, and if you got music and video going, it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
But if I have a passenger in the car, I turn the radio down. I want to talk to that person.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to watch the road, hear a song, and listen to somebody talk at the same time. I don't know why. I'm old. I'm brain damaged. But if it's just me in the car and all I got to do is focus on tunes in the road, I got this. And that's when I discover a lot of new music, is driving in the car, looking through my XM dial. And not just staying on the disco station because I love it. I got to jump around and listen to some other things too.
Oh, and that's one of the things I like about the internet stations now, where you can be listening to, say, the weekly charts, and you can go, okay, click forward, click forward, click forward. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
I haven't done much of that, of course, in the last 2.5 months because now I'm driving, no matter where I go, I'm riding with Lori, so it would be really rude to have that. Can you please be quiet? I want to listen to
Right. Shut up, woman.
Yeah.
I hear some tunes here.
That doesn't go over too well.
Goes over great.
And marriage advice from Brian S. Red.
Jim Cerrone does a real good training on charts and what to look for. It used to be simple, and now it's very complex. There's a bunch of people that are tracking stuff. I mean, Spotify has their own chart system, and it used to be just Billboard, and no longer. It's all over the place. So, but it also is important to know that chart music might not be the thing that resonates with the people that are in front of you.
For sure.
It might be the wrong thing. So just because something doesn't chart doesn't mean it's not out there waiting for you to find it, for you to be a better DJ to play it.
I mean, come on. Was the Cupid Shuffle a #1 hit anywhere? That's just a real simple, cheap example of what I'm talking about.
I can give you a better example. In my experience with this series of yoga classes that I did this summer.
Oh yeah, David, he was DJing for yoga classes.
I figured out. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of resources on the internet. I mean, if there's a particular genre that's like a real niche thing, there's somebody that's working it. And I found I didn't have any idea. I just bid on this work that somebody came with. I forget, it was a thumbtack or something. And they were just looking for somebody. And like a month and a half went by and they came back and said, well, we've got 7 different rooftop performances that we're going to do, classes that we're going to do they're building their own yoga studio.
Saturday mornings. On
Saturday morning.
You really want to DJ for somebody if you're getting up on Saturday mornings
to go
and doing this. You got to really want to do it. David really wants to do this.
Well, the music was, there's a whole thing, and I've got it on my Facebook page and I'm just about finished up writing about it. But it was a total of 9 different performances that they hired me to do. They were going to hire different, like a live band in between, and maybe a different DJ here and there. And after I did it the first time, the owner said, we want you doing it for all of them.
Right.
And it was great. And I mean, I ended up being the one that was probably doing most of the resonating with the music. I mean, it's stuff like Liquid Mind. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Real relaxing stuff. Liquid Mind, check it out. Chuck Wilde, who's a guy with a band from the, 70s. Do you remember who he was with? Mm-hmm. He was a keyboard player with, I forget. But it's way back, but I mean, it's really cool. Really cool music. Liquid Mind, check it out. But it's different than just about everything else. It's very soothing, there's not really a beat to it. It changes chords differently, and it was the perfect match.
Programming for yoga.
Yeah.
This
And I was blasting this on a rooftop in Janesville, Wisconsin, with my ETX system. They wanted it loud.
Wow.
They wanted to really feel it on that rooftop, and it was difficult because it was outside. It was on the top floor, but it was
parking structure.
Yeah. It was a parking garage on the top floor.
That's a crazy gig to take, though.
All summer,
cool,
every
though,
Saturday,
but
consecutive Saturdays. It was fun.
Yeah, that was just a crazy. What are you doing? Oh, I'm doing Saturday morning yoga in Janesville. Like, what?
They had a country radio station that was doing a live feed from there and interviewing all of us about it. They really wanted to talk to the owner of the yoga, the teacher of the yoga class.
Yeah.
Not me, but they ended up interviewing me too. And I asked the guy, I said, well, have you ever played any of this stuff? He says, no, I play country music. I can't. I'm a DJ, but I don't go outside of that narrow path of genre that I love and resonate with. I said, well, that's a real shame.
I want to jump into the question section here for just a second. Jamie Signs was asking, does anyone listen to Countdown Radio anymore? It's a good question.
I do just, and it's just to basically go through and click to find out what is hot on the on their charts.
Now, love him or hate him, Casey Kasem, that was something that you put time aside to do.
Yes, it was an event every week.
Yeah.
And for those of you who didn't experience
that,
that,
a little guy, that's what you did.
Yes, Sunday it went on Sunday from for the longest time it went from like 1 to 3 in the afternoon, and then if you missed that one, there was another one that would go Sunday night from like 7 to 9.
Right, there's a nighttime show.
However, maybe it
and
was 7
that's
to 10.
what you did.
Yes.
And that was like when I lived in places like Oklahoma, back in the 80s, early 80s. That was the only place I heard a lot of this music because the local radio stations, the church wasn't having it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to play that tune here, but you could hear it on Countdown Radio. The songs that you read about in Rolling Stone that you never heard, you heard on Countdown. So, yeah, I don't know. I know Ryan Seacrest Rick Dees took the torch, then Ryan Seacrest took the torch. I don't know who's carrying the torch now.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's syndicated. I'm sure you can find it, but no, I don't know that anyone's listening to Countdown. And David actually mentioned something earlier about the top songs of 2016.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And your general assessment of that list is?
Well, it's the guy who does it is the more important thing because it's almost like it's curated by somebody who has specific likes and whatnot. Check out NPR's Top 100 and tell me what you're going to play at your next gig as a DJ. NPR's Top 100. I went through it yesterday and today, and I actually listened to several of the tracks multiple times that are at the real top of the list. And I'm like, I don't think so. I'm just not feeling it.
Top 100 based on what? Just because I say, or because of sales, or
it's not
downloads?
Sales. It's this guy's curated. I think these are the best music. Rolling Stone does the same thing.
Who cares?
Rolling Stone has been consistently more disappointing. I've got had a subscription to Rolling Stone for I don't know how long. And their new music inside there that they highlight is like, who paid somebody to say that? I mean, it's like, it just sort of feels that way. The new releases on music pools that's an interesting point too, because I was talking with Brian earlier and I was playing him. All I come up with is top 16 tracks for Dave, dancing DJ Dave, because he calls me Dancing.
Dancing Dave. Yeah.
I don't know, but I only came up with 16 tracks, and I played some of them. But the point is, I even called Promo Only, and I said, why aren't these tracks that are hugely popular in the club not getting released through Promo Only? Right. And they basically said, So I'm like, okay, that means it's on me. That means I got to make the effort to go out there and scour a little bit, listen to this and this. There's a guy
That's what we used to do.
There's a guy in Australia that's redoing a phone app. It's called Discover, DISCOVR, and it's not ready yet. I've reached out to him to do an interview because the whole point of it is I mean, you can put in an artist or a song, and then it animates sort of like a octopus, and it gives you, this sounds like these people. And then you can keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And when I used it, I mean, it was last year before he pulled it off and said that he had to retool it and whatnot. He's still been working on it.
6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. This is
it's kind of what it sounds like.
It's very cool. It's very cool and very helpful too. And anyway,
we started at Grandmaster Flash, and we ended up somehow at Helen Reddy. We don't know how, but we did, and it was a 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon game. But some people it's gonna work for some people, absolutely. But I mean, please let us know in the chat room how you are discovering new music. And I'm not only talking about for work, I'm talking about for your own personal pleasure.
So, David, you mentioned the NPR top 100 for the year.
John pulled it up.
I did. Number 7 is Black Beatles. Is the only one I recognize by title. Not that a Beyonce song, but that's not one that I have played. So I'm trying to go down here.
In my top 16, the only Beyonce song from Lemonade is the Hard Candy remix of Formation. Mm-hmm. That's a hot track.
We played that at the Coles party.
We did. That's a hot track. And so, but I don't know about the rest of the album. I think it's a great album, but as far as DJs go, playing that and trying to mix that, I mean, she's all over the place. She's making a statement. It's a good album. I agree it should be on the top album, but I don't know about anything.
Well, it's really odd because you talk about what's popular in pop culture and what not only we may enjoy, but our audiences may enjoy. David was kind of laughing. I think Blanca's big on shows like TMZ and things like that, and we watch that because it's on after the news and before the prime time comes on.
Yep.
And every night, without fail, you get Kanye West. He's on there for something. It doesn't matter.
Sorry, did I
what he
my
did.
hand floated up. I don't know what that was.
I don't know what I don't even know what Kanye West does anymore besides Kim Kardashian. And I have no idea. I have no clue what this woman does.
I didn't say that.
But he's hot. He's
coming after you, Brian. He's coming after you.
This is the guy everybody's talking about is Kanye West. Now, there was a time 10 years ago that Gold Digger was pretty hot. And I played it a lot.
Yep. And
then I played Stronger for a minute. And then I think he turned up in that Estelle song, American Boy, doing the rap. But I don't play Kanye West at every gig that I do. People don't ask for Kanye West at every gig that I do. And he's like the hot ticket.
Yep.
Mariah Carey, same thing. Mariah Carey's on every other night. She's on. What the hell Mariah Carey do I play?
Mm-hmm.
I play All I Want for Christmas Is You for Christmas songs.
That's about it.
Because it's kind of a cool one from a movie, but that's like a 20-year-old song. I don't know. Just because it's popular doesn't mean that it's A, good, obviously, or B, going to resonate with our audiences.
Yeah.
I like that rinse and repeat track, but that really has struggled to get traction. Jamie Signs has got that on there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good track. You should check that out because it's a good dance track. You can dance around the room to that all day. I've got a couple others. I got a couple. No, maybe.
No doubt. Well, maybe
You can dance to anything.
I really like. There's two tracks that didn't get out in the record pool in promo only that I wanted to mention. "Chunky" by Format :B. What a great house feel track. You can dance forever to that.
It feels like
It's short too. It's only like 2:38. There's a long version, but the 2:38. So they did a radio edit.
that track sounds like the old Casual record stuff.
I
Cashmere
played it for Brian.
from back in the early '90s. It's pretty cool. I mean, I like it.
And then
what was it again, Dave? Dave, one more time.
It's
Chunky.
It's called Chunky and the artist. Now, don't confuse that with another Chunky that came out by somebody pretty famous.
This is Chunky. This is Chunky.
This
by
is
whom?
Format :B.
Format B
B.
with Chunky.
Very cool. But you won't find it in your pool stuff. So you got to go look. You got to go grab it somewhere else. The other one is Housework.
Yeah, that was a hot track.
By Jax Jones. It wasn't out on the record pool.
I mean, when I just heard it, it was.
It's a hot track.
It's a hot track.
Really hot.
I like it.
And there's a long version and a radio.
Tell the name of that one again.
Housework, and it's by Jax Jones. JAX
Jones.
Very cool track.
Cool. I just typed those and put them into the chat so
Perfect.
people.
Yeah, Housework is two different words, but it's no big deal. Thank you for putting that up. Yeah, it's not Bruno Mars Chunky. It's Format B. That's who I was thinking of. Bruno Mars came out with one on his album, which didn't come out till last month. But Chunky's been out since like earlier in the year, and there's really no good reason.
Format B's Chunky.
Yeah, Format B's, and there's no reason why that shouldn't have been on anything that I can think of. But
Hot
I don't
track.
know. I called them and they said, I don't know.
Well, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? A lot of music out there. I like it though, and I would have liked to have had that as well. Come through the services. Cool track.
It is. Another one's Rufus Du Sol, the MK remix of "Say a Prayer for Me." That's got a real good hook in it. I like it.
Before we wrap the show, because I know we're looking at times here, we don't want to go too long. I want to just ask this question, and I'm not asking it for myself. I'm asking it kind of as a representative of who might be watching or listening right now.
Yeah.
If we're looking at tracks that aren't going to particularly resonate with our audiences, and we're searching for these tracks, why are we doing this? And this is a question that I wouldn't normally ask you, but I'm asking it as a representative of the community. Why would I look for a track, or why would I hunt down a track that wouldn't particularly do me any good in a gig situation?
Because you get to resonate with that music. And when you're resonating, you're a better DJ. You're a better person, right? Everybody should agree with that. If you're resonating with the music you love,
right,
you're a better person.
Even if the crowd isn't feeling it, you're feeling it, and maybe someday they will. You're on top of it,
right?
And it's not just about work. I think that's the thing that I want to punctuate here. This is not just about gigging. I'm so sick of this crap. It's all anybody wants to talk about is gigging, and how they can make more money at gigging, and how they can get better lighting of their gigs, and how they can get more gigs, and how they can gig. Forget about gigging for a minute. Why did you get into this in the first place? If you got into it because you really like speakers and lighting, good for you. But I think a lot of us got into it because we enjoyed music.
Yep.
And we enjoyed interacting. Personally, and I've said this 1,000 times on these shows, I'll say it again, I got into it because I liked turning people onto music. I liked playing music for people. It wasn't just a me listening thing. It was a us listening thing. And knowing what people might like and what they may not like and what might work well together. That's why I do it. Not because of flashy lights or Dave's hat or anything else.
You forgot to turn the heat on in the basement?
Heat's on. We got a brand new heater down here. I bought it last weekend.
No, the heat's on everybody to listen to more music. That's what that is. It's a metaphor.
David, would you mind telling everybody out there how old you are?
Why?
Just to do it. Because you're a cool guy, and I want people to understand that.
Let's see, how old am I? 63? I just turned 63 in September.
David turned 63. He's telling you about format-based Chunky. He's DJing at lounges and clubs. He's
wearing a fur hat.
This guy's an inspiration. He is an inspiration.
Nah, he's the inspiration.
Now you're an inspiration.
Nah, you are.
I'm just the crippled guy.
John's the inspiration.
Cool. You're actually like the cool guy doing stuff.
Okay.
Well, John is our
floating head. That's me. Yeah, I'm a floating head.
No, this is not floaty head.
I'm floating head too.
No, that's Scott Thomas.
Oh, okay.
He's embracing that name. He's gonna copyright that shit.
He did it. He did it well.
He did.
He did floaty head well.
Good stuff, guys.
It's been the nuts running the asylum tonight. Thank you for your patience, John.
Yeah.
I hope this was fun for you.
This is good. This is good. Like talking music, especially when you're getting a different perspective. Then, as you say, we get into wedding season, so there's that set of music, and then we get into school dances, and there's that set of music, and then there's times you just forget to listen for your own pleasure, and experience music for your own pleasure.
Discover music for your own pleasure.
Discover it.
Yep.
So.
And tell them the website one more time that you're putting together that's going to help people get ideas on how to discover new music.
MakeTimeToListen.com.
MakeTimeToListen.com.
It's not up yet, but I mean, just
He's working on
basic. I'm working on it. Yeah.
He'll get it.
Be a podcast associated with it and all of that stuff.
Cool.
I know he's 63 years old, but he will get it up. I promise.
I love how he put that.
I was just wondering where that was going and if we were going to.
He's really good.
Going?
He's really good at
looking for that beep button.
Computers. He's really good at computers.
Yeah.
Website. Thank you guys for watching. Next week we will be back again with our regular shows because Christmas is on Sunday. So
thank you, Howie.
Monday, Tuesday. Thank you guys for watching and have yourself. This will be it for shows for the week because tomorrow I'm headed off for another surgery, so I will be out of commission for a few days. So we're looking forward to being the last surgery. Yay!
Yay!
Godspeed, John.
It's about time.
Thank you.
How fast is God's speed anyway?
Yeah, didn't you
Is that
ask
like
this
light
question?
speed?
Didn't you?
It depends.
How fast is God?
He's very fast.
Like Godspeed. Okay. I'm sorry.
Depends on how good you are.
The bonus part. Okay, I'm thinking of it like this. Like I would think God's speed would be really fast, right? Like really fast. But then I think about the creation theory where he created the earth in 6 days, then he rested on the seventh. So was God's speed like most of the time go really fast, but then chill out once in a while? I don't know.
This is where everyone gets up and walks out of the room while Brian's talking.
No, we're done.
They're coming in now.
Bye. We got to go.
All right, everyone. Have yourself a wonderful night and a wonderful Christmas. Enjoy the weekend with family, and we will catch you next week. Good night, everyone.
Night.